Greetings and welcome to all. My name is Rafina Reynolds and this is my final presentation for Preparing for the Future. For this presentation, I will be discussing some of the social aspects of technology and its influence on pollution and bioremediation efforts. As societies have advanced, we have invented and improved on technology to solve problems and simplify lives and daily tasks. Many of these tools result in various forms of waste stemming from inception to the final product. As we have progressed, technology has become more accessible and less expensive, thus becoming more expendable. In a way, this helps to fuel the throwaway mentality of society while creating further issues in regards to waste and pollution. Technology can act as a means for furthering division of classes, as those with more funding would have access to better or more trendy devices. In the article by Freeman Dyson on page 5 in the text of Technology and Society, it is stated that technology guided by ethics has the power to help the poor all over the earth. Too much of technology today is making toys for the rich. This shows technology, or more so, frivolous technology's role in defining and reinforcing social classes. What if instead of focusing on the newest alteration of the iPhone, we shifted efforts to enhancing the accessibility of technology to socio-economically depressed areas across the globe? And actions such as this could greatly alter social dynamics. As technology has advanced and become more accessible to more social circles, it has allowed for greater access to information and for the faster spread of ideas. This can break down perceived boundaries that people create, thus allowing for individuals to have better access to new spheres of society and the improvement of their lives. We see a plethora of examples daily, such as the internet. According to Dyson on page 11 of Technology and Society, the internet will allow people in remote places to make business deals, to buy and sell, to keep in touch with friends, to continue their education, and to follow their hobbies with the full knowledge of what is going on in the rest of the world. He also states that this new internet will end the cultural isolation of poor countries and poor people by allowing the socioeconomically depressed access to all the information they desire. Technology then acts as a means to achieve new social standings, should a person be desirous of such. Technology plays a major role in environmental science, which is my particular field of study. It provides the means for scientists to examine Earth systems like never before. Scientists are able to collect more precise and reliable data, as well as create models to examine trends and make predictions for the future. Technology is also utilized in this field to curb the negative effects of humans on the environment. Some examples of environmental technology include energy conservation methods, renewable energy technologies, electric vehicles, and bioremediation. In looking more in depth at technology and environmental science, global positioning systems, or GPS, as we know it, and other advanced monitoring systems have allowed for a new and better perspective on Earth's interconnected systems. This includes monitoring global temperature trends, oceanic temperatures, and carbon dioxide levels. These systems allow for precise monitoring and accurate predictions for a better understanding of the planet's health. Technology brings growth and expansion, as well as economic stimulus to many communities. While this is highly beneficial, this quest for expansion results in numerous negative consequences, such as pollution resulting from mining or obtaining oil. These processes have shaped our interactions with the environment, and the socioeconomically challenged were normally pushed to the back burner as we press forward with technological expansion. This disregard for the poor in rural and even urban areas has led to societal issues. In examining mining and other production processes, they provide an economic benefit to many socioeconomically depressed regions. Because of this and the ability to persuade and influence these areas monetarily, The poor are more often subjugated to protection methods and other practices that threaten their health and quality of living. One such example comes from northwest Peru. According to a report from Manuel Rueda, dozens of villages had to deal with mine pollution that had spilled into the surrounding rivers. This pollution resulted in numerous individuals becoming ill, with some even losing their lives. According to Kristen Schrader-Frechette in Technology and Society on page 582, evidence indicates that minorities who are disadvantaged in terms of education, income, and occupation not only bear a disproportionate share of environmental risk and death, but also have less power to protect themselves. This is one of the many injustices that environmental justice seeks to challenge and remedy. Pollution is a global issue resulting in part from human actions and technology. Defined, pollution is the introduction of contaminants into the natural environment that cause adverse change. In acknowledging that humans have risen above the natural environment and order through technological advancement, we acknowledge our contribution to pollution. The contaminants that are byproducts of our daily lives adversely affect soil, air, and water quality, along with health. Technology has provided us with many avenues that lead to pollution. The graphic below depicts air quality around the world, with regions suffering from the poorest air quality noted in dark red. These regions are mainly comprised of North Africa, India, and China, demonstrating that pollution is a major concern for developing nations. Many of these regions have highly concentrated populations, thus exposing more people to harm. As previously discussed, the poor are the main portion of the population that is targeted by the negative impacts of pollution. While we regularly hear discussions on pollution or the poor, the scope of this issue and the effects are never totally examined or discussed. According to Anup Shah, at least 80% of humanity lives on less than $10 a day. This lack of monetary funds means that these individuals and regions are unequipped to deal with pollution and its effects. Not only are they unable to remedy these effects, but they are also vulnerable to companies that may be looking to exploit resources nearby that offer large amounts of funding to be allowed access to said resources, without much of an afterthought to the consequences. This graphic shows the number of people living in poverty over a 20-year period from 1981 to 2011. While all regions have shown a decline in poverty rates, it still affects many people and is an issue we will face well into the future. Because pollution is such a far-reaching issue, it relates to quite a few topics that have been discussed throughout this course. One of these is social class and another poverty, which ties into that. Pollution can act as a social constraint by discouraging individuals from movement to affected areas. As previously discussed, it is more likely to affect certain populations such as the poor. The words of Christian Schrader-Frechette come back to us. Evidence indicates that minorities who are disadvantaged in terms of education, income, and occupation bear a disproportionate share of environmental risk and death. Pollution further binds them to locations and reinforces the cycle. Human health is also compromised by pollution, as we are exposed to contaminants that can be harmful and over time deadly. Pollution is responsible for numerous problems across the globe. According to Alexis Petrou, in 2012, pollution was responsible for the deaths of an estimated 8.4 million people in developing countries alone. Worldwide, this number increases to 8.9 million. However, it is important to note that the burden of 94% of these deaths fall to lower income countries. Really, the exact toll of pollution will never be known. When mining pollution escaped to the surrounding water resources of the Achuar tribe in Peru, many individuals were sickened and even a few perished. Manuel Rueda quoted Carlos Sandy, a tribal leader, in saying that many of our brothers have already died from poisoning. In the 21st century, we cannot allow the Peruvian state to condemn indigenous people to death. The future trends of pollution allowed into the environment will be difficult to determine. However, this will be determined by society. Technology makes more areas accessible to resource exploitation, which can result in increased pollution, especially if precautions are not taken to safeguard against it. On the opposite end of the spectrum, newer technologies, along with the replacement of older, more pollution-prone technologies, can reduce the amount of pollutants entering the environment. Many technologies also seek to remove some pollutants from the environment. Society and individuals will determine future levels of pollution and its overall impact. By realizing the harm pollution causes and investing in green technologies, we will choose the direction this trend is going. This graphic from the World Economic Forum shows the pollution rates from 2010 and compares them with the expected rates for 2050 and the recommended rates determined by the World Health Organization. This shows the potential for pollution to be a much greater problem in the future if we do not alter behaviors. To help remove or reduce the amount of pollution in soil and water, bioremediation can be utilized. Bioremediation is a natural occurring process where natural organisms such as bacteria break down pollutants to less toxic compounds. This method of removing certain pollutants is less invasive and expensive than other methods, as it does not always require complex equipment. It can also be accelerated through technology and monitored off-site to be less involved. As previously mentioned, bioremediation is a natural process and therefore can progress slowly at times. It can be done ex situ, off-site, or in situ, on-site. Ex situ treatment requires for the contaminated medium to be collected and removed for treatment at a different facility or site. While in situ treatment requires none of this, it can be difficult to treat an uncontained area in the field. Monitoring remote areas can be costly and time-consuming, leading researchers to seek a technological remedy. One such technology that is being explored is the microbial fuel cell. Bioremediation has been successfully utilized for many years for oil spills and other incidents. Technology can help to make it more accessible and desirous for use, one such avenue being the microbial fuel cell. These can be used to create energy from waste and certain pollutants. These cells use the byproducts of bacterial respiration, which is the consumption of pollutants as a food source, to create electricity, thus turning a negative into something positive. Bioremediation is cost-effective and less intrusive than other methods of removing pollutants. The equipment that is occasionally involved in this process is minimal and is usually typical equipment that is easy to acquire. Bioremediation also is viewed in a positive light by the public because it is a natural process. Also, the less invasive nature provides residents of an area that is being treated with fewer disruptions to their daily lives. It is possible to completely break down certain organic contaminants, and with the increasing chance of using bioremediation to turn pollutants into electricity, we see another major benefit. By combining technology with the natural, we can work to remove pollutants from socioeconomically repressed areas, as well as possibly provide them with a source of green electricity. Thank you for your time today. I hope you have enjoyed this presentation.